Before the sun rises, before the world begins to speak, there is a sacred stillness in the early morning hours. In that silence, the soul hears most clearly the voice of God. As you open your eyes to a new day, let your first words not be complaints nor requests, but gratitude, for to rise again is not owed, it is granted. Begin each day with gratitude, not requests. When the eyes open and the breath flows freely, that alone is a reason to give thanks. Too often the heart rushes into the day with a list of needs, of fears, of worries, forgetting that the greatest miracle has already occurred. You have awakened. Gratitude aligns the soul with heaven, opening it to peace before the world has a chance to plant confusion. When the first words of the day are, "Thank you," the heart is lifted before the feet even touch the floor. Gratitude is the key that unlocks contentment, that reorders priorities, that quiets the noise of what is missing by drawing focus to what has been given. A grateful soul prays differently. It does not beg, it surrenders. It does not demand, it trusts. Gratitude is the soil in which faith takes root. It is the beginning of humility, and humility is the beginning of holiness. Before the asking comes the honoring. Before the needs come the name. To rise in thankfulness is to rise in strength. To begin the day with "thank you" is to place the entire day into hands far more capable than our own. Gratitude is the first prayer, and the highest one. Prayer is not only words, but an offering of your will. True prayer begins not with the lips, but with the heart's quiet surrender. It is not simply a list of requests or a routine recital of sacred words, but the placing of one's entire self, thoughts, desires, fears, and intentions before the presence of the divine. When one prays with the will, every moment becomes worship, every decision becomes devotion. It is not enough to speak, one must submit. The soul must say, not just hear me, but lead me. In prayer, the will bows first, and then the voice follows. To offer your will in prayer is to say, "Let not my desires rule this day, but let your will be done in me." It means to rise from prayer not unchanged, but redirected, to move not by impulse or emotion, but by obedience and trust. This offering is not always easy, for the will clings to comfort and control. But in surrender, there is clarity. In surrender, there is power. For when the will aligns with a higher purpose, the heart finds peace no matter the path. The soul begins to walk not in its own strength, but in divine purpose and protection. Without morning prayer, the soul lacks direction. Just as the body needs light to navigate the day, the spirit needs divine guidance to walk in purpose and peace. Morning prayer is not a tradition to be performed, but a compass to be consulted. When the day begins without it, the mind is left to wander, the heart to worry, and the soul to drift through distractions that offer no lasting fulfillment. Prayer centers the soul before the world can scatter it. It gathers thoughts, calms emotions, and aligns intentions with a higher calling. To begin without it is to step into battle unarmed, to enter a journey without a map. The noise of the day will always be loud, but the voice of God speaks in stillness, and morning is when the soul hears best. In those quiet early moments, before the demands of the world take hold, The soul finds clarity that cannot be manufactured by effort or intellect. Direction is not something we earn, but something we receive when we make space to listen. Morning prayer is the drawing of the soul's first breath before the day begins to press against it, a sacred pause that gives meaning to motion. A day started in God's presence cannot be lost. When the first act of the morning is to turn the heart toward heaven, the soul is anchored before the winds of the world begin to blow. The trials may still come, the noise may still rise, but the foundation has already been laid in quiet reverence and divine strength. Entering the day with prayer is not a shield from hardship, but it is a seal upon the soul, a declaration that no matter what unfolds, one does not walk alone. In God's presence, peace becomes the atmosphere in which choices are made, and courage becomes the force by which challenges are faced. The burdens of the day are not carried alone, for they are already placed in the hands of one greater. Moments of stress, confusion, or temptation do not dictate the outcome because the Spirit has already been aligned with the eternal. The presence of God becomes the lens through which every encounter is seen, and the power by which every response is shaped. In that holy beginning, the day is not random, but consecrated, not empty, but purposeful, not led by emotion, but guided by grace. That beginning defines everything that follows. Each morning is a sacred gift, a fresh canvas upon which the soul may paint its devotion, its gratitude, its surrender. To begin that day with prayer is not simply a ritual. It is a reorientation of the heart toward what truly matters. In a world that moves quickly and speaks loudly, the soul must be taught to move slowly and listen deeply. Morning prayer does this. It silences the distractions before they begin to speak. It calms the chaos before it stirs. It calls the spirit to attention before the world demands its energy. This is not a performance, but a communion, not a habit, but a lifeline. When you rise and bow your heart in prayer, you are declaring that this day will not own you. You will offer it. You are placing your time, your choices, your struggles, and your triumphs into the hands of the one who sees far beyond what you can. In doing so, you are no longer walking into the unknown alone. You are walking with purpose. You are walking with peace. You are walking with protection and direction that cannot come from the world. Morning prayer strengthens what is weak, lifts what is low, and clears what is confused. It reminds you of who you are and to whom you belong. Without this daily moment of stillness, the soul becomes reactive instead of reflective, fearful instead of faithful, scattered instead of rooted. But with it, each decision, each word, each moment carries the fragrance of divine presence. You don't have to face the day uncertain, overwhelmed, or underprepared. You only have to face it prayed up. For in prayer, there is guidance for your mind, rest for your heart, and light for your path. Even in moments of pressure and pace, prayer remains the anchor. And the more faithfully you return to it each morning, the more unshakable your spirit becomes. Days will vary, circumstances will shift, emotions will rise and fall, but the soul grounded in morning prayer is not ruled by the external, it is led by the eternal. That foundation will not break. That strength will not fail. So let each morning begin with intention. Let the first breath be a sacred one. Let the first words be words that rise upward, not outward. Lift your voice not in demand, but in surrender. Bow not in defeat, but in reverence. Pray not as an obligation, but as an offering. In doing so, you place your entire day into hands far more capable than your own. The tasks will come. The challenges will rise. But when you start with prayer, you are already prepared. Let this be your vow each morning, not to rush, not to forget, but to return to the quiet place where strength is found. Start your day with this powerful prayer, and you will find that what follows is not just another day, but a life lived in divine rhythm. A day begun in the presence of God is a day that will not be wasted. It is a day that is already blessed.